Sweet. Hello, everyone. And welcome to the JSB Anime Podcast. I'm your host, live from my living room, Asher Barzaga, a.k.a. Pinoy Grigio. And I'm joined by my homies, Jenny, Tiger Lily, also known as Tiger Lily.
Hello.
And Rob, also known as Zen.
Hello.
Second episode live, not in Nakama this time. This time from the comfort of my living room, with my couches, with my movies, with my table, with some sake, with some cookies with Neochio. Yeah, and we're here to. It's a nice bright day outside, but here we are inside enjoying each other's company. So how have you guys been? Yeah, are you guys having a good weekend? Is everything all right? Is everything okay?
Been pretty good. Apparently we sound a little distant, so I would say get a little up there. Raise your voice maybe a little bit. But as we work through this stuff, I feel good.
It's been a good week. Actually, a good couple weeks. Have had a lot of wins and stuff. Consumed a lot of good media.
Oh, hell yeah.
And had a lot of cool opportunities come through this week. So happy to be here. That was something I look forward to. I'm a little biased because I picked this one. What we're going to review today.
Yeah, I think it's only natural to be excited for whatever anime it is you pick, whether you've watched it, like, because you picked it for a reason, right? Like, because even like with Blue Lock, which I haven't seen at all, I was excited to watch because a lot of it because I hadn't seen it. And with Kageki Shoujo, it was almost like the complete opposite. Like, I was excited because I had seen it and you guys hadn't seen it. Your Lie in April is an interesting one, though, because I think we've seen all of it, all three of us, at some point. Admittedly, it's been since 2015 for me, I think when it was coming out. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish it this time around, but I did get far enough, at least, like through like one of the more major arcs, which was Arima actually like competing, and getting over that hump. But we'll go into full detail in the full show anyway. But before we get into that, I know we've all seen other anime this past week. So I did want to see or hear or even like other media if it's like fascinating. What have you guys like watched this week? So first Jenny.
Well, I'll kind of speak on actually something I've read, which is fun. So I actually had the opportunity to appear on a guest star on a podcast.
Oh, that's
called,
right.
Damsels Never Finish. So they review and book club basically for fantasy smut, fantasy erotica. So I got to read one because I really liked the previous one that they had, the previous episode that they had. The book was fantastic. Got through the first one on my own, read the second one. So that's how much fun it was. I'm a big fan of that one, so it was really cool that they had one of their usual hosts or participants go to Cambodia for the time that they usually record. So I got to fill in, and it was pretty cool. The book wasn't my favorite, but just being able to have really fun dialogue about what it means to have characters that you can fall in love with, which is really important for not just erotica, but also just anime too, right? We had a whole conversation about that. Was really the falling point for some of us for Noragami.
Yes.
And so with that whole conversation, it was fun to see that a good story could still have like great intentions and great plot line. I was describing actually Noragami to a coworker, and he's like, that sounds like an amazing plot. And I was like, it's just that I couldn't fall in love with the protagonist, and that's the hard part.
Well, it's fascinating that you're still, because I know it was one that you like disliked more, but you're talking about it.
The timeout.
Okay.
The timeout. Gonna be right back.
But that being said, due to these technical issues, I forgot what I was talking about.
Well,
we're talking about your podcast.
And I'm still talking about like Noragami, for example.
Yeah,
even though I didn't love it, it still had an impact of, storytelling, and even unlikable characters can still be very memorable, right? So, that was one of the things I've consumed recently. And then the one I think you're referring to that all of us have watched is Suzume.
Yes. Okay. I know we've all watched Suzume.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a episode 5, Your Lie in April, parentheses, and Suzume.
We could easily accidentally do that. Like, there's a lot to talk about with Suzume. I mean, just how different the Shinkai journey has been. Yeah. From, like, I mean, he's had stuff before Your Name, like Garden of Words and experiments, essentially. And then going into Weathering with You, which followed a heavy, hard hitter act,
Yep.
And then the next one, everyone's kind of like, I don't know. And then Suzume comes out, and wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much wow.
Like, wow.
Suzume is maybe the first film this year. I also maybe haven't been watching that many movies as I should as a cinephile. But probably because it is so fresh in my mind, it is very vividly a movie that I think about when I tell people, oh, you have to see this on the big screen. Like, obviously that's I don't know what that's called. You don't have to, but I think you are losing something if you are not watching or experiencing Suzume on the big screen.
Yeah, I think there are some movies that are enhanced by that movie-going experience, right? Like, it's not required,
no,
but you do lose a thing, right? So, like, when I first saw Your Name, I think that was a really good theater experience, right? In every time I watched it after that, in the first time I showed Drew that movie, right? Like, he didn't get to see that in theaters, and it's like, you're missing out on an experience. Like, it's still great, don't get me wrong, right? But I'm like, I feel like you're still missing a thing. And Suzume is still, like, I feel like all of his works, right, especially like his recent works, right, are very much movie-going experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful, visually beautiful, great sound.
Yes.
So much attention to detail. I think one of the first memes that came from Suzume that I saw was when the animators forget that there's a budget.
Yes. God.
Because they just give so much detail to things that, what does it matter? And like when you think about storytelling, writing, every sentence is supposed to matter. You're supposed to edit out all the noise. So anything they do keep in there that even feels like filler is probably not. It's a mood setter of sorts.
Yes.
Whereas a Suzume, you almost have that big question, like, did they, or is it just they kept it because it was so pretty?
Right. Yes.
That's true. Yeah, it's funny that you bring up the music and stuff, because I think one of the things about that film is that at no point is there really like a song in the middle where it's like a Radwimps song.
No.
I was waiting for it the entire time. I was like, this is the part where we're going to break out into
and we're
song.
gonna have a song like...
Which isn't a bad thing, but I think it shows a certain restraint or like maybe a maturity about like, this movie doesn't call for that. And I think I liked that. They had an ending credits song, right? But there was something really cool, at least to me, about the decision to not have the random Radwimps music video in the middle.
I think maturity is actually a really good word. We're talking about Shinkai's journey.
Yeah.
And if you look at the character's movement, it's, you go from, I guess, Mitsuha, who was coming of age, and then you've got a female protagonist in Suzume who's older. Has traits and qualities that remind you of Mitsuha, the countryside look. But she also kind of, and that's one thing I talked about a lot with Suzume, is that it's a progression of Japan culturally as well. Like, there's some things that they introduced in the storyline and the characters that breaks the norms that we're used to seeing, that I think previously Japan, as normal as the rest of the world, just didn't want to talk about. Like things like single parenting, country being overly friendly or something, or just kind of out there and breaking the norms of like sitting alone. You know, if there's just like somebody that's from out of town, you're just like stranger.
Right.
As far as giving them clothes of their own.
Yeah.
And yeah, a teenage girl running away from home is what it looks like, you know? But
that is
happens,
what it looks like, yeah.
You know? So it's like, those are embarrassing things for them to talk about. Talk about their feelings.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be something they do, and they have a moment like that. And they don't usually do that in animes. They usually communicate it in some ethereal way.
Right.
Not with their words of like, you make me so mad.
Yeah.
I regret sometimes.
Yeah, it's wild to have those scenes in this movie, and I think, you know, I think it's fascinating going from Weathering with You to this movie, if only because like I agree with the people who don't, because there are quite a few people who actually don't like Weathering with You. It's an it's one of those things where it's like, I do like it, but it's also very easy to see where people are coming from.
Absolutely.
Did you like Weathering with You?
I had to watch it twice. So the first time I watched it, I wasn't feeling it, right? And especially coming off of like Your Name, it was like, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not really vibing with like the story. Like it just was not clicking for me, right? So then Drew was like, hey, we have a showing. I like to go watch anime and stuff with him. So I was like, he hasn't watched it yet. There's a showing in like Gainesville. It was like the last day of the show. And I was like, all right, he lives in Tallahassee. I'll meet you in Gainesville. Let's just go watch this movie. Right. And the second time, now that I know what I'm getting into, I enjoyed it the second time, but it's still like not my favorite of his movies. Like it's still like on the lower end, but I appreciated it more the second time I watched it.
Yeah.
But I could definitely understand like why somebody would not like it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's middling. It's a very middling movie.
And so you could see why like people were kind of questionable heading into this film, right?
I was very like cautiously optimistic, I should say.
And I guess it's really nice to see like, I've had this discussion with a couple of people, maybe in time. I'm not a quick to jump the gun kind of person on like, this is their best movie, unless they really haven't had like a very strong canon of work. I often like to give it time, but there is an Asher in an alternate universe where it's very easy to say this was already his best movie that he's made so far. But for me, I can only go as far as right now to say it might be his best movie, but I have to sit on it. I have to sit there and think it, because I'm not the type of person to jump the gun and be like, it's his best movie. Nothing wrong to the people who do.
I just sit on it for a little bit.
Gotta let it because I do really love Your Name.
Yeah.
But there's just something about this movie, the world building, the like. It's not an immediate these are the rules type of thing. It's like a steady like as she's going on this like journey type of thing where like things are revealed and like characters adjust to the situation, right? Like I can't close this door, she has to close this door. And then like certain reveals of information and confronting your past, and it takes its time with it. Yeah. And it's easy to get lost in the sauce. For a while with that movie, I actually thought I didn't understand it. But I think it was just like my overactive imagination, like complicating it. And once we get to like that final part, the climax of the movie, it all like makes sense. I was overcomplicating it, and then,
it's very easy to get caught up in it.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
It's why I want to see it a second time. Right, because I think I was doing the same thing as you, where I'm like overcomplicating it, and like after sitting on it, like I get everything, but I want to view it a second time now that I've come to this understanding.
I've watched it twice because I also watched it with my sister after because of that thing, because of me saying, "Hey, I think you should watch this in theaters." I made a bet with Rob that I think it's only going to be in theaters for 1 week. If this was before, of course, we actually started watching it. I think now with its like reception and how good it is, maybe Rob wins this bet.
Yeah,
it's gonna be 2 weeks. It's gonna be at least 2 weeks.
I got time.
So
I was kind of surprised that we were able to pick up tickets like day of in just this theater around the house. Like not even like I was thinking we'd have to go to like Sunray or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, they're playing.
That's how it was with Weathering. Weathering with You, I believe, was a Sunray. Oh no! Wait, no. I believe we were able to watch it actually in other theaters.
It was at every theater. I don't know how long it was playing. But it was in all the major theaters.
Okay. Our city is weird about getting anime. We got the quintessential quintuplets movie, but we didn't get Kaguya. That was weird.
Very weird. Very weird pickings. But overall, I think we've gotten, at least stateside, we've gotten a lot better. About like bringing in anime movies and giving them like the big treatment instead of going to like these niche theaters. Like you're starting to see them pop up in more like traditional theaters, the AMCs, Cinemarks and stuff. They may not have super long runs, but at least people are getting exposed to them a lot easier.
It's a lot more. Ever since COVID, where anime got more into Netflix. That's a lot more people are getting involved and into it, and they're not as embarrassed to admit that there's an anime that they like.
Because there's anime for everyone now.
Oh, there's always been an anime for everyone.
There actually always has been. But
like there's an app for everything, but whether you download it or not, it's a whole nother decision.
Exactly. I don't know. at the bare minimum, what I could say about Suzume is like, if you can see it in a movie theater, please, like, just please do it. It's not to sound like a scientist, but it's optimal. Like, it just won't be the same sitting on your couch. I think, it'll still be emotionally engaging. It doesn't like lose the narrative heft or anything like that. But there's something about like the first time she opens the door and it's on the big screen and the camera zooms into the environment. And
No, listen, there's something about the chair chase. Like, you have to watch that.
And hearing that.
Yeah. Bro, the sound team, they had no business doing what they did. Like,
they were in a riot.
They were on point with that.
Yeah.
It was excellent. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm. All the thematics were in that movie, the threads of fate type of thing. Mm-hmm. I was joking with my sister after the second time I watched it. I was like, the worm is just one big red thread of fate that he does like in every fucking movie. So,
yeah.
It's just Shinkai being Shinkai.
Yeah, I really feel like
things.
there was no bad guy or bad.
No, it's
like
just
we
nature.
didn't actually even know what would happen if that worm did hit the ground. Would it be actually the end of the world?
Right.
There's no proof of that.
Right.
No, everyone was too scared to even get close to it happening.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the fun thing is like, I think that was a big message on what are we so scared of if we just try something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, what's their name? Daijin. Maybe one of the best characters Shinkai has ever written. Honestly, like at least in my opinion. Like selfie cat. Just like not an actual like evil being, but rather a selfish being. Like a selfish god that I think because of those actions actually humanized the character way more. It wasn't like a pure soul. Like everything in your head should say, why aren't you going back to protecting everything? But it's like,
well, you've been trapped there for 1,000 years.
Have you ever been trapped there for 1,000 years? Like, I want to be out here. I want to hang out with Suzume. And I was just like, I know that's wrong, but it's also, I get it, like in a weird way. And that made it such an interesting character, but you can see how it frustrates the other characters in the moment.
But again, doesn't that kind of make them selfish too? In a way, understand where Daijin's coming from with what Daijin wants. Mm-hmm. Remember the ending for Cabin in the Woods?
Yes, love that ending.
All they had to do was kill the fool, and then the rest of the world would have been saved.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's one person. They were all going through these crazy drastic measures just to kill the fool.
Yeah.
The fool. A pothead, worth nothing to anybody else, apparently. And they're like, one person. That's what sacrifice is, right? Yeah. But is it
like
worth
that, isn't it?
Is that a world that we want to live in?
Yeah.
Where that's how you let everyone else survive, by sacrificing these teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. That's a fun comparison.
That's
a really fun one.
Because I think a lot of people are like, God, you're so selfish. Just kill him.
Yeah.
And it's like,
just do it.
But is that the world we want to live in?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we have to do to survive?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah, we could talk forever.
Absolutely. Easily. Anything else you guys want to say about Suzume? No, we're good. Maybe another time. Maybe one day when somebody picks their movie as their anime choice of the cast, maybe it'll be Suzume, and we'll be back here and we'll go the full distance.
Maybe we'll just watch it together. We should just do a watch along.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah,
that could be very fun. Any other media, Jenny, aside from Suzume and the podcast?
No, that's it. Really.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. What about you, Rob?
So we've actually watched a few things, so I think we have some overlap here from when you came over.
Oh yeah.
As Drew visited us the last weekend, right? So we did another thing where we recorded something for the Games Cast. We did like a spoiler cast for the Trails in the Sky series.
That's anime adjacent.
It has an anime adaptation on Anime OVA, which I highly recommend everybody go watch. It is not great, but our main character Estelle, who is one of the best protagonists ever, she has an action scene that is very memeable, and I love it to death. But we spent most of the weekend recording that along with Carrie and Tenchi. And then you came over before Drew left, and we watched a couple of shows.
Yeah.
I'll save one for you to talk about.
Okay. I feel privileged.
But we did start the new season of Musume.
That was awesome.
Right,
yeah.
which was really cool.
Yeah.
It's funny that Musume has gone through 3 different studios at this point.
It's so weird considering the success of it.
Yeah, right?
I feel like success means more consistency.
The success also means Cygames goes, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah, we'll cut out the middleman.
We'll cut out the middleman. We'll create our own anime studio, and we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah, and we'll rake in all the money.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
For anybody that doesn't know, Cygames is probably one of the biggest game companies in the world right now.
Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy and a couple other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they developed their own animation studio, and it looks great.
It does look great.
There are some moments where we both have the same feeling of like that Blue Lock feeling, where like some of the CG cuts in, and it's like, okay, it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. Yeah. But for the most part, the animation hits, right?
Yes.
And they do some wild stuff with their scenes.
It actually reminded me of there's one ending of one of the Kaguya-sama episodes. It's the rapping episode.
Yeah.
And they end it with the breakdancing scene and the way that's animated. The good animation from Musume looks like that.
Yes.
And it's pretty like, whoa.
I'm really excited to get into like later in the season when you have like a really intense race. Like that final race is probably going to be off the charts.
Yeah, probably.
Like I imagine it will be. So definitely looking forward to see more of that. And that's not even season 3 proper, right? This is like a side season called Road to the Top that features Admire Vega, TM Opera O.
Yeah, love TM Opera O.
Yeah, she that is an Asher horse. Right? she's just a theater kid that is running races. And I'm like, all right, sure.
Yep, love TM Opera O.
But looking forward to more. A new episode dropped this morning, so maybe I'll get that in after we record this here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really what I've been watching and doing.
Okay.
Obviously, Your Lie in April. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Asher.
All right, let me get the rest out of the way first. Okay, wait. Actually, there isn't really that much. We've covered Musume.
Yep.
We've covered Suzume.
Yep.
And then I did start Death Parade. Only one episode of Death Parade. Because I did want to watch, some of the anime that you guys are into. Really see what y'all see here. And that first episode.
It goes
banger.
It just
awesome episode.
Sets a fucking tone.
Kind of gives me a weird Danganronpa energy.
Okay.
Do you see it?
I can follow.
So Danganronpa is a not you taking the sip.
I was just thirsty. I was just,
So Danganronpa is a visual novel game / like courtroom simulator that is essentially there are 3 of them, and the first game, high school student wakes up. I think Makoto Naegi is his name.
Sounds right.
He wakes up in this school. He has amnesia, and the school's like all boarded up. And then he meets some of the other students, and you learn that these other students are like the best at their age at what they do. So they have like the best baseball player in Japan at his age is in this school. They have some weird ones, like the best gambler, like just very anime.
Just keep them off the streets, guys.
Yeah.
School.
It's that energy.
But the school is locked down, and then this like animatronic teddy bear shows up, named Monokuma, and he says that only one of you will get out of here alive. And essentially the way you get out of here is you have to murder someone, and then you hold like a trial, and if they can't figure out it was you that did it, then you will be the one to go free and everyone else will die. And like, they try to work around it by being like, okay, we'll just live here forever. Unfortunately, it's the moral thing to do. But then like, you start to learn that there are like these lives outside that are really valued by some of the kids. and so they kind of get pushed into like, you know, committing a
Murder.
committing murder, unaliving someone.
Gosh.
And the kind of like, I guess, deep-seated drama and like deep reveals in the midst of a game almost is like, I guess, what gave me a little bit of Danganronpa energy. It's obviously not like as off the rails with like, you know, the bartender is not Monokuma. He's
Right.
not like goofing and gaffing
This
around.
is also like on top of that, it's a very goofy and wacky game,
yeah,
right?
it is.
But when it touches into its themes, it's like it also like tells a very serious and like really
Yes.
thoughtful story.
And I got a little bit of that with Death Parade because, one, the intro is so off the rails. It's
Yeah.
like a wacky intro. I love that intro, by the way. I want to listen to more
Fingers
Bradio.
only. Oh, yeah.
I want to listen to more Bradio. But there's something about like, oh,
Please
yeah.
watch the official music video.
Oh, yeah?
It's so trippy.
I'll watch
It's
it.
a time.
And then there's also something about this like bartender who's like, all right, let's play a bar game,
Mhm.
you know, billiards or darts. And then there's like a dark twist to it.
So when you watch it, when you decide to finally watch it more,
Mhm.
one thing to keep in mind is that with every game, there's rules.
Yeah. There's different
And
rules.
that's really what you have to discover as you go through this world of Death Parade.
What would you guys do if I designed a machine that would shock you in certain body part locations and we played darts and like if we hit that certain part and I hurt you in the head, would you guys play that game with me?
No.
Are you also hooked up to this?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Have you been electrocuted before, either of you?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I have.
It
so I
sucks.
would not
It
voluntarily.
sucks.
It does suck.
It absolutely sucks.
You
but
may get shocked in one spot, but your butthole will pucker still.
Absolutely.
Involuntary puckering will happen.
Involuntary puckering. All right. If we already didn't have a podcast title, that would be it.
I'm gonna come up with a way to make this game a reality, and maybe if I watch the rest of the show, I'm gonna make every game a reality just to see
All right.
the Death Parade JSB anime arc.
Everyone
yeah.
has a beach episode. Some people have a Death Parade episode.
Awesome first episode. Very excited. Did research on it like after. Didn't know that like it's an OVA, so like like it was not on any manga.
Nope.
It didn't come from any manga, which is like crazy. And not only that, it was from a student film, like a student film from Madhouse's like young people animation program. Some
Yes.
kid did I think it was just called Death Billiards.
Yep.
It was called Death Billiards. It was a short film called Death Billiards. And then I guess somebody was like, but what if it was a whole series? And I'm like, please do more of that. Why
It's
don't
very
we
cool.
like I feel like that's just so at least I don't see too much of that pipeline from the filmic side. Like and even then when you do, it's kind of a little bit iffy there because they already had big names attached to it. Like a good example I think about is Whiplash. Like Whiplash was a short film before it became a feature film. But the short film had J.K. Simmons in it already, who was
Right.
kind of like a biggish name. So like, does that really count? You know, I like the idea of these like if a Hollywood studio is like particularly connected to like a school and one of their kids produces something like special from a short film standpoint and you could see it being long form, like give it a go.
Yeah,
You
try
know,
it. See what happens.
That seems so awesome. And I think that was like what was really cool about Death Parade. And then the other anime that I want to talk to, I feel like I've talked about this anime so much.
I talk
this
about
week.
it every single day.
Yeah, I
In
haven't
some way or shape or form.
gone a day without mentioning this anime.
Jay's like, what?
It's the
Neocho? What you know?
so yeah. I love that you're just hanging out with Neocho. It seems like, and Neocho seems to like you too.
Yes, we decided to match today.
It's it was told by one of our friends that it was the anime to watch this season. So the new season has started. And along with it comes a slew of new shows. A couple that I was already excited for: Hell's Paradise, the new Demon Slayer stuff. But apparently, there was one that was particularly looked forward to amongst a lot of people in the anime community, and that was Oshi no Ko. And I kind of heard about it. There was like some buzz already because Yoasobi did the opening, and so like we were getting a little bit of that already. But I wasn't like fully committed, you know, until I went over to your place and you're like, we should watch anime, and we watched Musume, and then, you know, you're like, what else could we watch? And it was like, we should watch Oshi no Ko. It's like Carrie told me it's a big deal. Like, we should watch it.
It was Carrie. My girlfriend watched it with
really?
like some students that she had. And she was like, yeah, we all cried. And I was like, oh God, we're gonna die.
See, I didn't even know that. You didn't even tell me that. You just told me like
it was just like multiple people have been telling me like, you need to watch Oshi.
You need to watch this.
And I was like, yeah.
And so I really didn't know what I was getting into. And actually, that's kind of the best way to watch it, is to not know what you're getting into. So I'm going to try to say as little as I should. I'm going to say it's an idol anime, but it is not like idol anime. Okay? So there's that. There are elements of isekai in it, but it's not a true isekai. I think I can explain the plot, and I think that's fine, as long as I don't go into any further detail. And that's a person is reborn as the son of a famous idol. I think that is all I want to say about that.
That's really all you can say.
I think that's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Watch it. Its first episode is an hour and 20 minutes long. It is movie length. Which is sweet, because if you know about the 3-episode anime rule, where like by the 3rd episode you are hit with its hook, this subverts that by simply making the first episode 3 episodes long. It knows what will get the people going, and I think that's like why everyone knew it was going to do that.
And it makes you commit.
Yeah, it makes you commit.
It does. Like when watching that show, like just talking like through my feelings through it, right? It was very much of like, we watch it. Almost like if I'm watching like the first episode, I'm like, okay, I'm interested. And then like halfway through, I'm like, maybe this is losing me in some parts. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching.
Yeah.
What is this show? What does it want to be? And then by the end, I'm like, I am all in.
Yeah.
Right? Like I went through the entire range of like, I really don't think I like this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like, is this for me?
Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. And I think this is probably my favorite anime of this season so far, and it's only the first episode.
You know, I had mentioned earlier that it's hard for me to jump the gun on very big statements like it's the best of like this.
Yeah.
It is taking everything in my body to say this isn't like, this is one of the best first episodes of any anime I've ever watched.
I'll say it for you. This is one of the it's one of the best first episodes of an anime I've ever watched. I'll say it for you.
At the bare minimum, it is. There's a lot of love put into it. Everything that I love about anime is in this first episode, from an animation standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, from a weirdness standpoint.
It's very weird.
It's really weird. But like, I love it for that. I love the kind of like weirdness it is. It's expressionistic. It does things that just don't make sense from a like literal standpoint. Like their character designs, because this is supposed to take place in like a real world. Their character designs where like they have these like literal stars in their eyes, which they don't. It kind of reminds me of like expressionistic lighting in like Italian cinema of the like 70s. Like just big colorful backgrounds. Like lighting isn't actually bright red or blue, you know, when things are like going on and people are getting terrified. It's the feeling. And like there are creative choices and like the character designs and stuff that create a feeling. And to me, that's like more important than getting the logistics right. Because now I'm immersed. because they're committed to the world they've created. So with that, I think that's all I can say is that this. Please watch this before it's spoiled. Like it's all over. Like if you follow any anime spaces, it's just all over. Mm-hmm. But also there is a world where like it could also seep into other spaces. It just because it is that good. It's such a big deal. Anime circles always make a big deal when something surpasses rating wise on the My Anime list. Mm-hmm. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Right.
And that's actually happened twice recently. One was when Kaguya season 3 finished. Mm-hmm. It's since dipped back below Full Metal. But that was made a huge deal when that had happened. And then after just one episode, Oshi no Ko passed it, and it still sits at number 1 as we speak. Mm-hmm. Will it stick the landing? Will it keep going? We don't know. But at the bare minimum, this first episode was amazing, and it is exciting. Mm-hmm. It's also really cool for me. I got into the work of Aka Akasaka over the pandemic, which is Kaguya-sama. So this is actually 2 Aka. It's funny to think about. The 2 that like beat Full Metal for a brief period of time was from the same author. So Aka Akasaka just finished Kaguya-sama, Love is War, which is one of my favorite things ever, and I hold so very dear and close to my heart. I actually haven't finished it yet because of that feeling. You know, like when you finish something that has like meant a lot to you.
You don't want it to end.
I don't want it to end. And if I finish Kaguya-sama, it will end. You know, like I will have a very visible end. And I'm like still excited for it because I know like there's a lot of anime that have a tendency to end poorly, but usually we hear about it when it drops the ball. Like I remember when Tokyo Revengers apparently like fumbled the bag. Kaguya-sama, I haven't heard anything bad about it. I also haven't heard anything good about it, but like not hearing anything bad about it is a good sign. Mm-hmm. So like at the bare minimum, I think I'm getting a passable ending. But it's neat to see. He said he's done with drawing, so he's not illustrating manga anymore. He's moved on to writing, and I think he's writing 2. Yes. And one of them is Oshi no Ko, and it is very different from Kaguya-sama. And I think it's cool to see an author do that.
I think his other work starts this month.
Really?
I don't know what manga publication it's in.
Yeah.
I think it started this month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can focus on storytelling now. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to worry about his hands, like, because the life of a mangaka, we all hear how bad it is. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore. And he's already given us like Kaguya, which has an art style that I don't think is like anything else out there. Mm-hmm. So he's laid his mark on that. I don't think he really needs to
do anything.
Yeah. If he has these stories to tell, there it is. So yeah, go watch Oshi no Ko.
Do it.
Jenny, watch it.
Jenny, watch it.
So you started with this as an idol anime.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
But watch,
You
Jenny.
got me all hyped on this and then all of a sudden start with that? Ugh.
I'm telling you though.
Ugh.
If you don't end up watching it, that's fine, because probably down the line I pick it for this.
I probably will, because you guys got me watching Made in Abyss, so.
But you like Made in Abyss though, don't you?
Yeah, but there are sometimes I go, this wasn't fucking Rico.
But overall, you like it, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, like generally speaking.
It was pretty much every other character that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
It did drag, though, I will say. It took its time. I think there was a lot.
Would you say in the second season, or is that parts of the first season as well?
I think both, yeah.
Yeah. Some people would agree. Like, I remember the first time I got into the first season of Made in Abyss, that was like the one criticism I was following Eye Patch Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said watch Made in Abyss, and he talks about like it dragging kind of in the middle. So I get it. Yeah, I could see how it does that.
Yeah, like whenever I see, like when we were watching Your Lie in April, I was like, see, you can be bubbly without being fucking annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And blonde, okay?
Yeah, fair enough.
Damn, and blonde? Impossible.
Very fair enough. All right, so without further ado, shall we get to the main event?
Yeah.
Make some video adjustments before we shift into it.
Yeah, we absolutely can. Do we want to throw up the Be Right Back
Wanna
screen?
Take a quick break.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's take a quick break. Throw it up.
All righty. Take a quick break.
There's been an autofocus square that's been driving me nuts.
Back. We now have sake.
Kanpai.
Kanpai. Honestly, the biggest change.
Mm-hmm.
The best adjustment you can make.
That's fragrant.
Very fragrant. I don't know how old that bottle is, but it's been there a while.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to get into the main event of Your Lie in April. So one of my favorite questions that I love to start off with is, why did you pick Your Lie in April? Aside from the haha, it's got April in the title and we're we're an April bit, Jenny. There's got to be more to it. Why'd you pick Your Lie in April?
So, Your Lie in April, when you're having our first episode, all of us doing the JSB anime, talked about our journey with anime in general. And I said I had a comeback. I left after middle school when it started being really embarrassing to admit that you were in anime.
Yeah.
And didn't come back until after college.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit sprinkled in college, rewatched Yu Yu Hakusho, but an elfin lead. Weird, I know.
Elfin lead?
Yeah.
You could have helped with trivia this past week.
I saw your question.
There was like an elfin lead question that we all just kind of like looked at each other and was just like, put down Meowth. You know, like,
Oh my god.
just like write some random thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
And then, finished college, got back to like Jacksonville and was doing like the adult life thing. And then I was like, I saw Oron was the first thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then right after that, I saw people posting memes about Your Lie in April, but it was just that shot of the stage and she's in her purple dress, the violin.
Yes.
And he's on the piano. You've seen that shot and they were like, oh, what a great anime. And I was like, oh, is this about classical music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know a thing or two about classical music.
Yeah.
So I started watching it. I watched it also like Oron. I watched it in English and felt that anime had made a change since I left it.
Yes.
Where it felt a little more realistic with the dubs. Didn't feel like they were trying to make caricatures. These actually felt like real characters. They weren't exaggerated. They were real kids. Like the dialogue, I mean, just when they have their banter, it's not over the top banter of like shoving them across the way and they're like having these react emojis.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the dub, but the dub gets really great reviews for Your Lie in April.
I've seen maybe like half of it dubbed.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave Paul the choice to watch it in dubbed or subbed with me, and he was like, I never watched it dubbed, like, is it good? And I was like, that's how I watched it. And the writing is beautiful. And so this you guys actually talk more about the camera work and stuff with animation than I do. But you can't help but notice it with Your Lie. The visuals are, I mean, we were just talking about Suzume, so this is a different type of beautiful. It seems like smaller, more muted, quieter, softer, not as dramatic, but so gorgeous, and it works perfectly with the way the writing goes also. So I was like, this feels like anime has really made a jump here and has really grown as a medium of storytelling.
I think at times where Suzume or stuff like that are on maybe like a dolly, so it can, like, the camera can move, or the camera could shift, or like it's on a really long lens, so it can, like, I say this imaginary because they're drawing this stuff. Yeah. But they're playing, that's what it feels like.
When it pans, like, they're just not taking camera going pan.
No.
Guy.
Your Lie in April is more on just a tripod.
Yeah.
It's more of like just capturing a still wide, and that captures a completely different energy. So yeah, it's really fascinating in that regard. Do you personally like the dub or the sub better? Because I know I was talking with Paul, and he loves the dub.
Yeah.
He's been telling me he's loving the dub.
I love the dub. We were just talking about Shakespeare last episode of JSB, and I really felt like this has a lot of Shakespearean writing in it.
Oh yeah.
Their back and forth is not just a hey, that I didn't like that you did that. It's a the way your eyes looked at me.
Which is so cheesy to talk about it, but like when you're watching it, it captures, because people feel feelings towards each other all the time, not even just like romantic feelings, but also like platonic thoughts or admiration of skill, which is ever present in this show. And you kind of think about it rather quickly, but it does come with its own set of emotions. And I think what those soliloquies are like doing, it's like, feel this emotion. Yeah. Sit in the emotion and understand the emotion. And so it does that so good.
It takes its time too. It takes its time developing these relationships in this way. So it's with the words, not so much with what they're doing every single day, but with the words, with the way they talk to each other. It's an honesty. It's open. It lets you in and allows you to like really let it soak in and be with them in your own way.
Yes.
Like you got jocks.
Yep.
As the other two main characters in this.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's a sweet character dynamic that is like I really like, because as a person who has also played sports, I was also a theater kid, I was also a band kid. You know, it's less caricatured, I guess, than then again, I can't speak for everyone. I can't speak for every school. There are probably some school. It's probably why we gravitated to that genre of film a lot, is that cliquey kind of like, these are the jocks, these are the goths, these are the band geeks, because there's probably like some truth to it, but it's a little bit harder for me personally to relate to that, because I was a kind of floater. I was in all like groups, so to see them, they don't really get, I feel like they just really don't understand classical music. They feel it though. They see Arima play and they can feel it and they can be moved by it. But if you were to ask them about like the specifics and details of classical music, why is this a complicated, or why they even liked it, even something as like supposedly simple as why they even like it, they probably couldn't tell you.
And I feel like that also portrays probably a lot of the audience that's watching it too.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have no connection to classical music. I cannot talk deep into it at all. But what the show does really well is like it guides you through like, this is how they're playing this is how they feel during it. And it sets you up to be in that same space with them.
Yes.
Right. It does that beautifully. And as they like talk through them playing through this piece and like how it means to them, you're able to get into that same headspace and feel what they want you to feel during that moment. Right. And even though you don't come away with it like, oh yes, now I'm a classical music nerd, you at least have like an appreciation for what they're going for, and you like not fully understand it, but like you get it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes it accessible. And a couple of things you highlighted there are archetypes is one in high school, or middle school actually, transitioning to high school next. Yes. And then identity. Those are the biggest things that we absolutely can relate to, regardless of how you are as a person. You create an identity, and it starts really around middle school, is when your brain starts to go, I need to create my persona. Like, who am I? I need people to look at me and go, oh, I know her, she's a musician, or I know him, he's a famous, he's really great at soccer, or he's a really cool guy who has these two great friends, and whatever. You create your identity during that age, and at first the easiest one is, what are your hobbies? But that's not enough, and that's really what he's talking about here. He's like, so when he doesn't have his hobby anymore, does he even exist? There's obviously people who around him who just tell him all the time, oh my god, yes you do. You exist.
Because of course you do, right?
Of course you do.
But when you are caught in that, it's I'm sure I think I can say with confidence that at some point, if we felt that like we were not able to do something to our standard, whether it be fighting games or like some other competitive thing that we want to do, we have felt that we have lost worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I have plenty of friends who do feel that,
Yes.
right? Like especially in the fighting game sphere, it's like, I didn't do good in this thing. And I'm like, dude, please don't make that your only value.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is not your only value.
Mm-hmm.
You're so much more than that. And I don't know, that it doesn't make these things like, I guess, healthy for you, in my opinion, these hobbies and stuff like that. If you're tying like all your self-worth to it, I think there's a problem there with that. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really fascinating that you talk about that, and it's really fascinating that you talk specifically about like how in middle school that's how we like decide these things. Because boy, howdy, was I confused.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. It's actually funny because I think that's one of my questions. We can actually like go into that because this is a part of like my journey. Have you ever gotten into something or been forced into something? Maybe you didn't like it at first, but then it stuck and now it's a part of you? Like, what are some examples? We can start with Jenny. Or Rob. We could start with Rob because she looked at you and pulled the trigger first.
Well, I've never been forced into anything that I don't like.
Yeah.
It is the thing, right? I've always just done things that have interested me.
Yeah,
Okay.
earlier you were saying if the teacher wanted you to do something in
Something,
class, they just threw the marker at you and then continued on to the next
Yeah,
student.
I slept all through high school. That's just how.
So there was nothing that you were kind of uncertain that you would like? That you ended up actually just loving? It could be a no.
Not really.
Interesting.
No,
Mhm.
because like, really, everything. My entire life is basically around video games and anime at this point, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like these are things that I've just always been attracted to, and I love,
Yeah.
right? And coming from a competitive family, as it were,
Mhm.
like competing in fighting games is something that I've always done since I was like in middle school,
Yeah.
with, like Smash Brothers.
Mhm.
Do you ever almost
So-
have any of it ripped away from you? Kind of the other side of it?
Mm. Mhm.
Yes.
Ah,
So I
I
can
found
I
something.
can talk about
Yeah, there we
like
go.
that side of things, which is like more recently,
Mhm.
right? Where it plays into like putting all of your self-worth into something, right?
Yeah.
Where like there was 1 year where I was doing like amazingly well, right?
Yeah.
But it was a case of like you're fighting to, as cringe as it sounds, it's like I also want to be sponsored. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're fighting for like a sponsorship,
Mhm.
and you see people around you get that sponsorship, and you're just like, what's wrong with me though?
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of from that end of things,
Mhm.
which followed like a series of just like spiraling depression and
Yeah.
like going 0-2 and like so many different like big events afterwards, of which I have not done in like, at that point I have not gone 0-2 in like 8 years or something.
Wow.
Ridiculous, right? So it's
Yeah.
like a rude awakening, and it just sends me downwards.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I am just garbage.
Yeah.
My worth is at a 0.
Yeah.
And I retreated.
Mhm.
Like I did not talk to people for like a month or two. It was to a point where like people were reaching out to me like, is Rob okay? We haven't heard from him. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
Right. And you have those moments where like people pull you aside and it's like, you're more than this,
Mhm.
you know? And it took a long time for me to get over that, but like
Yeah.
that angle, I definitely resonate with.
Yeah.
You know?
I resonate with it too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get to that after I hear Jenny's.
Well, piano, actually, which is probably why I'm a huge fan of Your Lie in April.
Mhm.
Piano?
Yeah. My parents forced me into piano lessons.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
And you didn't like it at first?
No.
Or did you like it?
I didn't because, one, I was told I had to sit in front of the piano and like play for at least an hour every day.
Yeah.
And as a kid with a lot of energy, that's not the last thing I wanted to do.
I would argue you're still an adult with a lot of energy, but that's just me.
It was even worse when I was younger, if you can imagine. Yeah, so I was a very energetic kid, loved playing sports, and I wanted to be outside all the time. We didn't have video games or anything around the house, so there was no inside hobbies time or anything. It was go outside and run around, even when you did that at school.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a new hobby that my parents were forcing me into, when they didn't even listen to music around the house.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this like piano thing that I have to learn?
Yeah.
I do remember being a kid, though, walking into the piano store where they actually had the lessons. It was kind of like a George's Music, but for specifically pianos.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a 13-year-old kid who wore a newspaper boy hat.
Mm-hmm.
And his parents were like, looking at buying him a new piano. And so he's just like trying one out. And he just plays this amazing piece, basically like watching. And I'm like, and I just was like, that's cool. Okay, now I'm in. So I tried it though for a couple weeks, and I was just like, okay, all right, this is really boring. Like my teachers always said, "You're a speed demon. I need you to slow down." Like I always would just.
The frustration of learning an instrument to start.
Yeah, and so the way I ended up like kind of negotiating with my teachers was, I'll sign up for that competition if you teach me ragtime. Because I discovered on a CD that I had, a mix CD that they gave us of songs that we were going to learn. One of them, and learn about composers and stuff. One of them had a song with Scott Joplin because it fit within that time period, even though it wasn't one of the more popular. And so I heard that for the first time, Maple Leaf Rag, and I was like, now that, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And it was very complex, and I was like, if you want me to compete and learn these songs, I will. But I need you to teach me the Maple Leaf Rag. Or play it for me first, so I know that you can play it.
Right.
So she's like, fine. And she plays it, and I was like, okay, all right, I'll compete.
Yeah.
So I competed, and I still didn't like it, but it was also a way I could get out of doing chores, too. So I told my parents, I was like, they're like, why? Go clean your room. Practicing piano. They bought me a keyboard. They bought me a keyboard that had this record button on it too. So I would play the piece on record and then just have it play.
And so they thought you were playing?
Yeah.
I love this.
What a mischievous demon. I love that, yeah. That's how you do it.
Yes.
Incredible. So, like, have they ever walked in on you doing that?
No.
Because it would be really funny if you had to, like, get up and just immediately be like, yeah, I'm playing.
Yeah. Eventually they'd be like, "Are you been playing for 2 hours? You are not playing anymore." Yeah. So now, though, I mean, I think you guys know how much music means to me.
Yeah.
The insight that it's given me on modern music, it's a different ear in a lot of ways. Movie soundtracks speak so much to me. Video game soundtracks also.
Honestly, I would argue that film soundtracks are the closest thing we have to classical music now. I mean, because people have a tendency to forget that, like, Mozart and them were also writing operas and stuff. So they were already in that kind of like show sphere.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So filmic scores are like the closest we have to that right now.
I think that Mozart's, I have an opinion that Mozart's duet for two pianos, Sonata, I think it's K something, K149, is the first rock, like, Rhapsody.
Interesting.
Because it's about as long as Bohemian Rhapsody and has about as many movements as Bohemian Rhapsody, and it goes fucking ham.
I had no idea. I'm gonna have to give that. I'm gonna have to give that a listen.
Paul was we were driving back from his parents after lunch today, and he was like, I was like, I need to take a little bit of a nap. I've got the itis right now, and he's like, oh well, would some music energize or like calm you down? We could put some relaxing music on. And I was just like, no, all music hypes me.
Yeah.
Even classical music will hype me.
Yeah. There's something about it, yeah.
Yeah, but music now means so much to me. I love that I can pretty much pick up any instrument and figure it out pretty quickly.
That's awesome.
Thanks to a lot of piano training. Even after we were no longer able to afford piano lessons, I ended up just going to the library, borrowing books, borrowing CDs, and then trying to play them by ear. So I ended up continuing my training.
Taught myself guitar off of that. So yeah, it's just been a huge thing that's just stayed in my life. It taught me that I actually did care.
Yeah. It's crazy when that happens, right?
Yeah.
I actually feel weirdly the same way about basketball. Basketball was a sport that I would still say to this day I got into for the wrong reasons. Because you talk about like discovering yourself in middle school and like establishing an identity. Well, turns out when I was first getting into it, I didn't like the identity I had, which was the Yu-Gi-Oh playing nerd who people would like make fun of. Very self-conscious about that stuff. People were very mean to you about that stuff, which is stupid. Kids are mean. And
Awful.
they're awful.
Kids say the damnedest thing, and I'm like, they're just mean.
Yeah, they're just mean. I don't know what to tell you. They can't read the room. They can't let people enjoy things. And so, like, for me, I in gym class, there were like people who were just more popular, who could like play sports and stuff, that like more people gravitated around. And sometimes even when I tried to play sports, they like made fun of me by like, they just had like better ball handles and stuff. And when I tried to steal the ball, they made me look stupid, like a bull who was like, going at the red cape and stuff. And that kind of trauma like stuck in my head on top. And so I lived in Iceland at the time, so we didn't have like a football team or anything like that. Basketball and volleyball were like king there. And I specifically had a godbrother who was the starting point guard of our basketball team. And I love him. He was kind of mean to me too. but we've matured since then, and I wouldn't say that we're necessarily close. He we're mature now and can hold a conversation and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he was a very popular guy, and I was not. I was probably annoying too, because he was like a senior in high school, and I was like in middle school. From there we moved to Italy. But in the year before that I knew we were going to move to Italy, I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to reinvent myself. And I started like learning basketball from like one of my uncles who was like on the Filipino American team, and like he put me through like certain drills. This is the most important stuff. Established like my early philosophy on basketball. But all of this was never with the intent to like, because I liked basketball. It was like, I'm moving to a new place. I can be popular. It's that fucking 80s movie with the teenage kid, like The New Guy or some shit, like one of those movies where like you have an opportunity to just like change your persona and be something that you never were.
Yeah, I started carrying a guitar around.
You were Bochi?
Yeah, I can't exactly carry like a. Yeah, when I saw that too, I was like, I can't exactly carry a keyboard around, but I definitely carried a guitar around because it was like, oh yeah, I can play this thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's incredible. And yeah, I moved, and despite like getting into sports and stuff, I didn't really lose. Well, I mean, I look at pictures back then, and I definitely was like better physically than I am now, but I still wouldn't be considered like a physical specimen. So a lot of like my early, I had to watch basketball players that kind of fit that mold. So I watched a lot of Charles Barkley, who ate like a full pizza every day. And so I was like, yeah, okay, so like big guys can play basketball. And I think that's like really important. There's actually a basketball player today, Nikola Jokic, aka the Joker, who does not fit the traditional mold of a basketball player. He's a big guy, moves very slow, but is like one of the best passers in the game, and offense runs completely through him, but he's not. It's weird. He's like this big guy who's like not athletic at all, but he's magic. I don't know how to describe it. It's the coolest thing. I wish I was growing up as a basketball fan at that age, because then I would be like, yeah, I'm like fat, but I can do what he can do. You know, like that shit is like so cool to me. And so like when I moved, all that stuff did weirdly happen. I was popular. Like, I was a manager of the basketball team. I broke out of my shell and stuff. Like I did theater. I was on the student council. I was captain of the tennis team. Just everything fell in line with after that, because that was my goal. It was to be popular. I got voted most likely to be famous in the superlatives. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get pushed onto the floor and have my Yu-Gi-Oh cards fly everywhere anymore. But then something down the line happened when so have you ever watched Haikyuu, Jenny?
The volleyball one, no, I haven't. I've heard
You have,
really
right,
good
Rob?
things about
Yes.
So there's a scene in Haikyuu, one of the best arcs of the entire series, where there is a character with a similar thing. He plays volleyball only because his like older brother played volleyball. He feels like obligated to play volleyball. But he personally doesn't love volleyball. And before this arc happens, he's in a training camp, and somebody points at him after they had just finished a game, and he says, "There's going to be a moment where you're going to have this revelation, and you're going to realize that you love volleyball. You might be telling me right now that you don't care, but there's going to be a moment." And so like this game is happening, and they're up against like the best like spiker in Japan. And he's like their primary blocker. And I remember that guy goes up for like the biggest spike, right? And Tsukishima is his name. He goes up for the block, and he manages to block him. And the crowd is just like stunned. They don't know how to react. Like, nobody knows how to react. The number one blocker, or the number one spiker in Japan just got blocked by this goon. And then this goon does the anime flashback thing, right? He remembers that moment where this guy is like, you're going to have a moment where you love volleyball. And then there's like it flashes forward even a little bit longer where he's talking to his friend, and he's like got his droll face on, and he says, I might not be able to block everything that he does, but I'm going to block some. You know, and to him, some is enough. And then it flashes forward again, and he just pops off. He like, you know, throws his hands down and he screams. They do this really smart thing with the camera where it's on handheld. Like, it's not actually on handheld, right? Because it's anime, but it's like moving as if it's handheld. So like it captures like a raw emotion, and he's just like, ah. And so like everyone else who had never seen this from that guy before can't help but scream too. His teammates on the bench go, ah, you know, it just like they like pop off. And I think about that at some point down the line, like maybe when I was playing like street ball with my friends in Italy during just one of the pickup games, I like was running down court, and then I remember like fading away and then hitting like a smooth jumper, and then it just swishes through the net. It's the game winning shot. And I think to myself, or maybe I blocked someone because I love blocking people too. And I was just like, I do love this game, don't I? There's just something about it. It doesn't even have to be explained, but I love it now. And you've seen me most recently play basketball.
And I love the way that people talked about how it was playing with you too. Like,
really? What'd they say? Now I gotta know.
It actually is exactly what you said. It was, I guess you kind of like surprised yourself a few times, and like Paul was like, Asher was really surprising. Like he was aggressive from the get-go. Probably that was his downfall because he burned out.
Oh my god, that's my story.
But he was like, that guy, you could tell he knows what he's doing, and that's really cool to see.
That's awesome.
I love that surprise. I love when it comes to athletic things, I love the fact that I don't have a normal. It took a long time to love that, to love my body in that regard, because people don't think about that when it comes to athletics. They look at my body and they're like, there's no way. No way you can play volleyball, no way you can play tennis, whatever. And that's still not to say that it wouldn't be better if I was more fit, because it would be. It just, there's more benefits to that, certainly. Those stereotypes are there for a reason. But there is some satisfaction that I get from surprising people. There really is. The expectation, and I think a lot of it is because if Asher in middle school knew how to play basketball, I don't think he would have been bullied the way he did when, when they were crossing him up and he was stumbling and bumbling around. If he knew actually how to defend, and then he gets the ball and then he gets to make a fool out of someone else. Mm-hmm. These mean kids, just having that ability is like, I don't know, it's nice. It's nice to know that you have enough self-respect that you won't let that happen again, and so it's really fascinating, this specific journey. With I feel like we talk so much about our personal journeys, but it does relate to this.
That's why we like anime, right?
Yes.
It makes us relate to it in the ways that help us understand others more who also like it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it that journey of like, I ended up becoming good at this thing. Now I can't do the thing anymore. It's painful to do this thing now. To like reacquaint it. It's almost like meeting it again for the first time. That's what like I think about when he actually like competed. Mm-hmm. Was like, they talk about that segment and how he changed like 3 times.
He was going through it.
He was going through it.
Like he was sorting everything out. Like in that moment.
Yeah, in that moment. Like, why do you play? And it eventually like arrived at that point where he's like, I want to play something for her. Mm-hmm. She got me to this point, and this is an opportunity to show her. And it didn't get as much applause as like maybe someone who competed at the highest level would have gotten. But there were a few, and then there were those that mattered, and I think that's like an important thing, was that like, same with me, it also took a while that like, basketball is competition, I don't really do anymore, but it's still like, I don't even play it for other people, I play it for me. Mm-hmm. I love it for me. Fighting games will be fun as a competition for me. And to an extent, I do play for other people with that. I see myself playing for the friends who teach me, actually. Mm-hmm. I have to show my friends that I'm getting better because I don't want them to feel like they're wasting their time. Mm-hmm. So I think about that and how much I value that. And then like things like this, creative endeavors like this. This is like, it's definitely a for me thing too. But there's something about like, this never died with me. Because I think for a while I thought that like creating stuff artistically was dead for me. And people have known me from the artistic sphere, film school, stuff in Atlanta, stuff wherever. And then it just like stopped, but it never did. And now I'm like back to it. It's like, this is a little bit to the people who still kind of pushed me. Mm-hmm. I think about like a lot of my friends in the Discord who were like encouraging, I guess. And that's some of like Arima's friends,
Yes. Even though they don't understand. They're not
Even
the
though they don't
teammates on his
understand.
basketball team. They're not the teammates on his volleyball team.
Mm-hmm.
They're just his friends from childhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Classmates to a point.
Classmates, yeah.
And he doesn't really have much in common with them, like, Watari with the ladies' man and soccer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I can't remember her name. Tsubaki and her baseball.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And yeah, just the neighbor across the street, but she was like,
Mm-hmm.
you were cooler when you played piano.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's cool that they have that honesty with each other.
Yeah.
That they're, in a way, his teammates in a solo sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're your sport group.
Right. And they all understood, you could hear that understanding in their dialogue of how much it meant to him, even if he didn't want to compete anymore, because they imagined themselves getting to a point that they couldn't play it either anymore, how much that would break them. So they imagine that's how broken he might be right now. They want to help him through it. So when they both failed in their endeavors, to have that last good game for middle school,
Yep.
and go to the championships and all that, they're like, I guess it's up to you now.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, because you're in the same boat as us, and it's not at all the same disciplines and athletics.
It's so fucking cool.
It is cool.
It's
Listen,
so cool how they do
A
that.
win for the homie is a win for the homies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I love that this anime speaks on that.
Yeah.
It's not competitive. Like there isn't a little arc with competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the two that are like, I just want to show you. I'll show you.
Yeah.
And it's like it wasn't really about that.
No.
It was just
No.
like, can you hear our stuff? Like, can
Yeah.
you see us too?
Mhm.
As
Yeah.
we see you?
Exactly. It's fun how it was under that guise at the start, right?
Yeah.
This is a competition. Ooh, and these are the big bads.
Uh-huh.
And like, as you go further in their arcs, like Aiza being like, I don't want to go to Germany. This
Yeah.
is about like seeing Arima might compete.
Mhm.
And yeah, just simply I want to be seen. And then even for what's her name, Emmy, yeah, Emmy, like she wasn't even particularly doing well from the competitive scene. Like she was kind of fumbling the bag a little bit there. But once Arima was in play, it was like
That was who got her to start playing, right?
Yeah.
Like
her set was a banger.
her whole
It was.
motivation was like she wants to be someone that can play that would inspire others in the way that he did
Exactly.
for her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like him coming back on the scene was like what she needed,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, oh, the person that I admire is back, so let me like
Mhm.
ascend.
Yeah.
You know, and that really brought out her set, which again was a banger. Right?
Yeah.
Like I love that's one of my favorite episodes. I love that whole bit.
Yeah. Resonance, I think is what the episode is called. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing what they do with those characters because they do set them up to almost be like the big bads, but
Mhm.
like they're not really. You
No.
know, not at all.
No, they're just they're kids.
And even then, like afterwards, like you can tell, like they want to also help Arima. Like they want him to be good too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're constantly like looking out for him and trying to make sure like he's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
They weren't
in
out to
their own
break
ways.
his fingers and sabotage him.
No.
They were like, I want
No.
him to play his fucking best, and
Yes.
I'm still better.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like that's it.
Yeah, it's not that kind of drama
Exactly.
for sure.
I don't
It's
need
not
that
it's
kind
not an
of shit in
I,
my life.
Tanya. But yeah, God, riveting.
Mhm.
Really riveting stuff. Let's see what else I got for you. So you know, the primary subject matter of this anime is music. Or I would say that's like the backdrop, the primary backdrop, I should say. Is there a piece or pieces of music that really resonate with you? Are they classical? Are they not? And what are they like? And why do they resonate with you?
Does it have to be from the anime?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Just a song. Just a song.
Because like there are moments where they think about specific songs, right?
Twinkle,
Like
Twinkle Little Star.
yeah, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is like a good example, right? Which isn't a particularly complex song, you know.
Arguments can be made.
Oh, here we go. No. I mean, please educate me.
So, I was actually having a conversation with somebody
Mhm.
about how, like, what makes a song good.
Mhm.
And Happy Birthday
Mhm.
has actually been criticized as one of the worst pieces of classical music,
Mhm.
or classical composition, because it breaks the rules in a bad way.
Okay.
It's like
Interesting.
full of like, you wouldn't do that in a song.
Yeah.
If you were to do this properly from the era and like the way you would have these the chord progressions and flows, it should have sounded completely different.
Mhm.
Like we wouldn't have gone up where we should have gone down. Like for some reason we sing it in a way that's like no one sings like this.
Mhm.
Why did we say that this is how we sing Happy Birthday from now on? I feel like that conversation we can all feel with a lot of the songs that we listen to. If you
Mhm.
think about how chaotic your favorite performer's Emmy's like piece
Yeah,
or whatever
yes.
sounds, it's absolute chaos,
Mhm.
and yet it is clean.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it is
somehow, yeah.
beautiful.
Mhm.
and how crazy she goes on Coyote goes on the violin, and like she's off sync with her pianist, and they're like, oh, you can hear the panic, and they're fighting.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's funny because it's actually a song about being angry about something, like you was arguing with something.
I did not know that.
Oh.
So it's like that actually probably fits really well. And so a
Yeah.
lot of the choices made throughout Your Line, April, were actually true to the intent of the story told in the song.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a free piano concert at the Jacksonville Public Library, the main one downtown, and they had a guy who was playing his own pieces that he'd written. One of them he named Birds on the Wire, and it was the chaos of like birds that are just trying to chill on like the electric wires, just like hanging out, and then a train would come by and just wreck them. And it would just the sound would just scare them. They'd scatter, and it was actually also him trying to record a song that he was trying to play and write, and then it just that train coming through would just completely disrupt him. So it was kind of like he wrote that feeling into that song. So instead of trying to fight what was happening, he just put it in. It's like, all right, you can be a part of this too, train.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But let's see, so Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is actually very complex because it was almost like the first earworm because they wrote other songs off of it because so the tune is so easy to remember.
Yeah.
And I think it actually is a very deep song, and I'd probably go into the mathematics of it.
Yeah.
Of why it works so well, and like speaks to the way people talk as well. Like how it breaks, how it like kind of bounces. You can almost picture as if it had words, even if it didn't. You can hear the melody bouncing the way someone speaks. With a gentle cadence too, like the way a mother speaks to a child. It's both the tune for like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Make a Wish and Go to Sleep.
Yeah.
Here are the ABCs. These are the things you need to know.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's fascinating.
I gotta know, what's your favorite piece of classical music?
Let me sit on that one for a little bit.
Yeah.
Song.
Song.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star vortex.
I mean, it's riveting. Do you have a song that like particularly resonates with you? Is it classical? Is it not? You know, what is it? And like, provide me like some context. Like, why does this song resonate with you so much? It can also be like, you don't have songs that resonate with you. Some people just are indifferent to music. Music is an earworm to them.
Right.
And they don't have a particular deep feeling to it. They don't think about it that way. That's fine too, but I'm curious.
Yeah. Man. So,
Strokes beard.
Throws
it over my shoulder.
If I could. So it's like there's not really one piece that like stands above another. Like I do connect with music in a way like music resonates with me hard.
Yeah.
Right. I get emotional when I hear music. It strikes a chord within me. There are some like there's like certain tones in some songs that will just elicit me to just cry.
Yeah.
Like for no reason. Like there's no like story behind it. Is just like there's a very specific note that will hit, and then I'm just like I'm a wreck. Yeah. I cannot explain it. Yeah. Sparkle does that for me from Your Name's OST.
Oh, okay.
Actually does that, and I have no there's no like story behind it. Yeah. It's not like, Rob, you had like a traumatic past and this like connects to that in some way. You know, it's just
Sparkle's actually very positive. So.
Like, right, exactly. It is just when that plays, it's just I am a wreck. And I'm like, I cannot explain why.
Yeah.
As far as like songs that maybe connect with me on like a personal level, I think about if anybody's seen the anime Dororo.
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with it.
They have an opening called Complication by Rookies is Pumped. And the whole thing about that song is just like you trying to figure out what you want to do in life, right? Like you're planning ahead in your life, and it is just like this blank white sheet of paper, and it's like, what am I filling this paper with, right? And for most of my life, even now, I'm just like lost. Like I don't know what I want out of my life. I have no real goals or ambitions. It's just like I'm still trying to figure that out, which causes depression at points in time. But anytime I hear that song, it puts me in a space that is just like, right. It just hits, and the song is a little chaotic. It's kind of all over the place. Like there's like some rap bits in there. There's some rock bits in there. It's a great song. Like I really love it. But anytime I hear it, it just puts me in the space of just like, damn, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, it really puts me in a weird place. That's the one that sticks out like immediately.
I'm so excited to watch Radwimps with you.
I'm gonna be so mad.
You're gonna be so messed
I'm gonna be so messed up because like
I have my camera and they're gonna be like, look
like,
at this
even
guy.
their latest album did that to me.
Great album. I love Kaiba.
I love.
I've been listening to Kaiba on repeat.
It's great. I'll probably listen to it again before we go watch it. But yeah, my answer would be Complication. That one sticks out.
Hell yeah.
The most.
That'll listen later.
It's great.
Sweet. You guys looking at me because you're expecting an answer from me?
No, I'm waiting for Neochu's answer. And, little guy there, been kind of quiet the whole show.
I love that Jenny said yes and you said no. So from a classical music standpoint, I might not. There are two that particularly stick out to me. Claire de Lune is one. I love Claire de Lune. Which is funny because I already loved it before I played this game, and now we're coming back full circle. Danganronpa 3.
Oh my god.
The third Danganronpa game uses Claire de Lune. And when any form of media could like change the context of a song, that's amazing to me. I really loved Claire de Lune at base level. I found it an enjoyable listen, but I didn't attach like a particular emotion to it until it showed up in Danganronpa 3. V3, I should say. I'm just going to leave that there because if you guys end up playing Danganronpa V3, I really don't want to spoil it. Just know that like I get emotional when I listen to Claire de Lune now because of the events that transpired in Danganronpa V3. It's a big deal. The stuff that it revolves around, it's a pianist character in that game. She loves music, and that's one of her favorite pieces. And so when everything goes down, I'm hit hard, and I'm like, ooh, Claire de Lune, I'll never listen to it the same way again. Change my context for that song. And then the other one I feel like it's funny because it's like it's a pretty memey song, but I also like love the song emotionally speaking. And that's Gymnopédie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, by Eric Satie.
Eric Satie, yeah.
Yeah.
Classified as the most relaxing song of all time. Yeah, I feel like Claire de Lune's actually arguably more relaxing, but it's also haunting.
Yeah.
And that's something that makes it probably fall out of that running.
Yeah.
Because it is very haunting.
Yeah.
Aww.
But yes, the classified most relaxing song by mathematics is Gymnopédie by Eric Satie.
That's so funny to me because I associate like a lot of sadness with that song in a weird way. Because one, I already felt a little bit of that like even before. So once again, context changes when I consume it attached to a different form of media. One of my favorite films, which is so funny to talk about because some people find this film super pretentious, and I get it. My Dinner with Andre. I love My Dinner with Andre. So My Dinner with Andre, it stars what's his name? You guys know the principal from a Goofy movie?
Yes.
Is it Wallace Shawn? Yeah, Wallace Shawn is the voice of the principal in the Goofy movie, but it stars him. And it is a movie based on him having dinner with a friend of his, Andre. I can't remember his last name, but he was a famous playwright at the time. He wrote screenplays and stuff like that. He's a real person. This isn't a fictionalized person. But he did like disappear for a little bit. arguably when he was at his peak. And so My Dinner with Andre is about Wallace Shawn meeting him for dinner after he just kind of invites him to dinner out of nowhere after being gone for a while. And the movie is just an hour and 30 plus minutes of them eating food together and him talking about what happened. It's just a conversation.
Huh.
That's
It sounds
all
like
it
the
is.
most art house movie.
It's pretty it's art housey. Yeah,
weird.
it's art housey. It's been parodied in like various other media. I think the Community episode that makes fun of My Dinner with Andre is one of my favorite Community episodes. It's super funny. But when the conversation is over and you think about like this person had like a lot going on for them, why did they walk away from it, what mattered to them, and Wallace Shawn gets in his taxi and he is going home to his family, and of course he's looking out the window and stuff. Gymnopédie starts playing and I'm like I'm just like, dude. Just like, what does it mean to live? And yeah, I would say those are like the two primary pieces of like classical music that I think of. There's like a couple other here or there that are like really cool when they show up, or like context has also been changed for me depending on different things. I think Radetzky's March is like one. There's a couple of classical songs that I remember when I was taking music appreciation for the first time. We took a test in my college class, and then my teacher would play classical music, and then she just passed out these puzzles like Rubik's cubes and pegboards and all kinds of stuff. And she says, some people say that doing puzzles while listening to classical music, you do them better, or they're more engaging, which I don't know if that's true. But it was pretty funny having that happen. And then a year later, Catherine comes out, which is a puzzle game.
Yeah.
And those are just rock remixes of classical music.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm solving the puzzle to these like rock versions. And I'm like, wow, this really works. Maybe there's something about this like puzzle solving.
I wonder how you would do playing fighting games with classical music.
What if I just like am infinitely better?
Yeah, take out the soundtrack of the game itself and just like classical music.
We're gonna play with that later.
We're going to mess around with it and see what happens. That'll be really funny. What were you going to say?
I was doing a puzzle for the first time in a long time, like a regular jigsaw puzzle, and I realized there's a pattern the entire time. So I just had to sort all the pieces into their shapes and then figured out there's a pattern and just pretty much narrowed down to exactly what I needed. And so I was able to like knock out a really difficult puzzle pretty quickly. It's still a work in progress, but I'm like, it's all basically the same color. So there's no distinctions of like if you're in this black corner or this black corner or that black corner or that black corner. But it's actually all been coming together pretty quickly, and I just really did just sort the pieces, and I was like, okay, their shapes are a pattern. Classical music follows rules.
Yes.
So there's patterns, very strong patterns. I was gonna bring up another one that's big on a pattern that's why it works so well, but I can't think of it right now because I've got Gymnopédie stuck in my head.
I'm gonna listen to it after this podcast.
So for me, Claire de Lune was gonna be my first one. That's my
Hell
favorite
yeah.
song of all time.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I love that Mozart. I brought that Mozart piece up that I like a lot, but it's only because that song gets me super hyped and it's a classical song.
Yeah.
Which is one reason why I love Mozart so much. And the movie Amadeus makes me love him even more.
Ooh, Amadeus, what a movie.
Yes. Love the actor with that laugh. Oh.
It's so funny that we got to Amadeus here because it's about classical music, but when we watch Kageki Shoujo, remember that character that heavily resonates with not Amadeus, but rather his rival?
Yeah.
Who felt like, I'm not as talented as Mozart, so I hate Mozart. I'm like, it's just fun that we came full circle with it.
Yeah.
It's really
we talked about
fascinating.
Shakespeare from that one too. And
Yeah.
here we are. The second piece is not classical, but it's a video game track. Skyrim. Jeremy Soule or Soul.
Yeah.
Streets of Whiterun.
Huh.
Very, very sad song. And I have never played Skyrim. I tried the intro thing, and I got super nauseated. So it tells me I can't.
Yeah, Plato's Cave, the beginning to every Bethesda game.
Okay, I'm not doing so well here. So
Yeah.
I've never been able to play through it. I don't know the story at all.
Yeah.
All I know is the song is called Streets of Whiterun, and I'm thinking something tragic has happened here.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but with the way that song is, it's something that it's also so soothing. Like the worst thing in the world can happen here and time will move on.
Yeah.
Like things will continue. The song could loop and I wouldn't even notice until I might notice after a while. But that's how time goes, right? It continues on. And it's something about that gives me peace.
Yeah.
Like the greatest horrible tragedies can happen and yet somehow someone will persevere and we can continue on. It doesn't end here. So I really love that song. Does resonate with me. And then I'm trying to think of there's another not Radwimps. Though definitely love a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually go out of the classical music area and say the like Green Day.
Okay.
Interesting.
I didn't know we was going there.
I love that we went there.
Green Day.
Are you pro American Idiot?
American Idiot album.
Phil hates American
I know.
Idiot.
Well, Phil hates a lot of stuff. That
God, he couldn't stand that I like American Idiot. I love American Idiot.
And it also comes down to, you were talking about the experience that happens when you went through those or listened to those songs.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Green Day American Idiot. I was breaking out of only listening to classical music as a kid. This hit when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I had a rich friend who let me borrow her CD when that first came out.
Yeah.
And I listened to it on my portable CD player
Yeah.
at 2 a.m. every night, just pretending that I was like a rock star playing guitar if it suited, if that's what I liked better in the song, or drums if that's what I felt better.
Yeah.
Never bass.
Never bass.
Funny,
Which is
I play
funny because
bass
now you play
Oh,
bass.
that's really funny.
Yeah, now you play bass. Now you're a bass
Never
player.
imagined myself playing bass, and here I am. Even when Rock Band came out, Reptilia,
Yeah.
that song is like one of my favorites that I would just play all day, and I was always like ripping those guitar lines. Never imagined playing bass on it.
It's really
That's
funny that you say this. It's really funny that you say this because the first instrument I learned was saxophone, but what I really wanted to learn was bass.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then my parents never got me a bass guitar. They just said, get a regular guitar and just play on the first 4 strings. And then
It's literally the same tuning. It's just the tonage is different.
and so I was like, my heart wasn't in it because it really didn't have it wasn't a bass guitar. So like, I don't have my guitars anymore. I had an electric one, a Yamaha, and then an acoustic one that I gave to my friend Jeff. But it is really fascinating because just in the past year, right? Like you know about this journey, me getting into drums and stuff. Like now it's in a place where I want to do it, and it's like really cool. I never thought I would be a drummer.
Yeah. I never thought I'd be a bassist.
Yeah.
I would, so American Idiot had, when I was in like that very formative years of my life, I went through the big dramatic change that you're talking about. I went from hair that was like super long and straight and black, chopped it all off.
Yeah.
Sat on my glasses so my dad would buy me contacts for the first time in my life. Got my braces removed.
Oh, there we go.
Anime.
Went through the whole transformation.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I did.
Embrace fame, reject anime.
Put piano on the back burner and was like, it's all about guitar now. Stole my sister's acoustic guitar and taught myself to play Wake Me Up When September Ends.
I like to believe American Idiot is about rejecting anime. So.
And I actually ended up learning the song Wake Me Up When September Ends, and then made a rendition of it for Pi Day.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because our teacher made us do a project. We could get extra credit in her class, and I was not doing that great. So I did the extra credit project and rewrote "Wake Me Up September Ends to Wake Me Up When My Pie Is Done," and it won for
Spam your Jenny emotes in chat.
I'm saying.
So I mean, it ended up winning first place in the whole competition thing. And then she's like, "So when we do our pie festival, we're gonna have the winners of the project do their performance and perform their pieces." I practiced super hard on that piece, and then when it came to the day, Pie Day, I also won third place in the pie eating contest. Just want to go ahead and call that one out.
Hell yeah.
I choked hard on performing that song.
Oh no!
Also, the kids in my class decided to call out that I was playing it upside down.
Wow, rude.
I didn't know. I was self-taught, like I said, I'm lefty. So the first thing I did is hold it like this.
Yeah, of course.
And it was upside down, and they were all really encouraging though, like, "Come on, you can do it." And then I was choking so hard, I felt like my fingers just were stuck. I couldn't get them to stretch far enough, and completely bombed the song. But that actually made me play guitar harder, honestly.
Okay.
So it's the song, the whole American Idiot album is about fighting.
Yes.
And it's also about being remembered. Even if they don't remember your name, they still remember you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly Saint Jimmy. His whole thing is we don't really actually know who he is. We're just going to call him Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
What's Her Name is literally a song.
Jesus of Suburbia.
Yeah, Jesus of Suburbia. All those things are all about, we don't really care. It's not about who you are, but what you can do and what you did.
Yeah.
And so, that actually was what escalated my guitar playing all the way through college. I really just got big into playing guitar. It was the most easy thing to bring around anywhere. Pick up somebody else's guitar at a party and just start playing that too. And then what's cool is that I met Paul, and he said I play guitar. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I've heard this."
Oh my god!
And so then I'm like, "Oh, do you want to play something for me then?" Sure, go ahead. And then he picks it up, starts playing, and I go, "This is actually really good." Oh shit. Oh, I think he's actually a little better than me. I'm kidding. He actually was classically trained in guitar.
I love that.
Cool. Yeah.
That's so funny.
But he thinks it's really cool that I play classical piano, so that's not my match.
Yeah.
Because that was really the root of who I am, was the pianist. That's what I was going to say earlier. Radwimps. I don't know if you guys can find this out somehow, but I'm pretty sure they are classically trained. Their roots in how they write.
Yeah.
And the piano pieces and all that stuff, I'm very sure that they have strong roots in classical music.
They probably do.
Because the complexities and levels that they do, I can almost pick out specific composers that they took inspiration from in their writing. And I would love to confirm it somehow. But really, I think that's part of why I think the Radwimps soundtracks are so beautiful. Because I was I feel bits of Claire de Lune-ish.
I also think that's why they are doing movies.
Yeah, because they can't. They could do well with the pop, just regular pop music, but they do so well with the classical side of things too, and the variations in their sound too. It works so well for exactly what happens in movies. There's changes, transitions. So I wanted to see if you guys knew that one, but it'd be something cool to confirm.
But I think we can maybe try to research that. I'm curious now.
I really.
We can ask them in New York.
Oh shit!
Big poster board. Are you classically trained?
That would be so funny.
Robin Asher sneaks backstage.
Oh my god, incredible! Ah, that's awesome. It's always neat when you hear someone's particular attachment to maybe an album or a particular band that just, I guess, kind of changed everything for you. Because there's certainly phases to my music fandom. Because I grew up in California originally, so early music was hip hop for me. Lots of West Coast rap. God, little did I know that when I turned 14, visited my cousins in the Philippines for the first time, who were more of rocker kids. They introduced me to Seiyoshin and My Chemical Romance, and something happened there. Very, very confusing. One minute I was listening to Tupac, next thing you know, I'm I'm like singing Hawthorne Heights. I'm singing Ohio is for Lovers. Like, what happened? And both are still so quintessential to my identity. It turns out you can listen to both. You don't have to fall into just one or the other.
Don't limit yourself.
But that shift is so fascinating. Like when stuff like that activates. Man, I have so many questions like written down, but we talk so much during these questions that I'm just like, whoa, there's so much that could be said. There's just so much more to like your lie in April than like
Well, that's right. That's why we're here, guys.
That's why we're here.
then I like realize because it just branches in this like crazy way, like because it really isn't just like, yes, it is like music, it is classical music, but it's also like just why do you do things? It's the soul. Like I've always been taught that a soul, the definition of soul, the classic like definition of it is that which moves you. And I think Your Lie in April explores so much of like what is that moves you. You know, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's the girl you just met under the tree, you know, like and that could apply to anything, which is why I think like I ask you this question that relates to the anime, and then next thing you know, we're like, how did we get here?
Next thing you know, we're talking about My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, exactly.
And Green Day.
And Green Day.
All right.
My favorite anime artist. God, I mean, like, what? Where else should I go here now? There's just. There's so much. Actually, I'm like, were there any questions that you guys actually wanted to bring up before, like, I dig into like the bag? Actually, is there anything specifically that you actually maybe have a question about that you want to get our perspective, or the other two perspectives in terms of like Your Lie in April? I think that might be an interesting turn.
I don't really have one.
You don't have one?
Not really. No.
Okay.
Like we've kind of touched on topics that I figured we would.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't have anything outstanding.
Yeah. What about you, Jenny?
You listened to a little bit of the dub, right?
Just a little bit, yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Were there any moments that really stood out to you in terms of like the dub writing?
Not so. I haven't listened to it in a while, right? So I can't point out specific moments. Like just the overall feel of it, I was like, this is a really well done dub.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing like totally sticks out. But it is something that I would absolutely watch dubbed if like someone wanted to. Like I have a personal preference towards Japanese audio, usually with anime, right? So that's just like where I default to. But it is one that I would absolutely like if someone was like averse to listening to, you know, reading subtitles and stuff. I'm like, let's watch this one dubbed. It's cool. This is a good one.
Yeah.
You know, definitely high quality stuff there.
What are the all-time best dubs?
Ooh.
Full Metal.
Full Metal.
Full Metal's
Okay.
up there.
I think Oran's also really good too.
People have talked highly of Oran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yu Hakusho.
Get the UUs. You get
I think the UU is superior one.
Yes,
Actually.
I would also agree. You get
Yeah.
the Cowboy Bebop in there as well.
Oh, Cowboy Bebop is
Very
up there.
strong.
I don't know.
I think Trigun
Yeah, Trigun has a great
has a
one.
very good one.
I watched the Cowboy Bebop dubbed very recently, like within the last couple of years when I got the Blu-ray box set that they released. And I was like, both of these tracks slap. Like,
Yeah.
I watched it Japanese, and I was like, okay, going through the dub. I immediately turned around and just rewatched the dub as well. I'm like, both of these are stellar.
How do you feel about the Kaguya dub?
I've only listened to very little bit of it.
Okay.
It sounded good, but I can't give like it was like a couple of sound clips here and there.
Because the narrator has a completely different cadence in the English dub. That's like some people can't stand it. Other people are like, yes, unhinged
Interesting.
decision.
Yeah.
But that actually makes it. That almost makes it its own thing. Like to get it like a different context. That's like a lot of fun.
I think Kill la Kill had a good dub.
I never listened to that one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a pretty fun one. There's more out there.
I feel like Tomo-chan's dub is also good.
I heard good things about it.
Which is fun because Sally Amaki
Does both.
does both
Yeah.
the Japanese dub and the English dub. And
Seven
she
Deadly
kills
Sins
it.
has a good German dub.
German?
Hey!
Very good.
There we go.
How many anime have you watched in German?
That's the only one.
Okay.
I've tried to hunt for other ones, but I thought Your Lie would be one because it's all classical music. So
Yeah.
I thought Western, maybe especially Germany is the
Very central to classical music.
I think it's,
yeah.
they consider it the home of
Yeah.
classical music is Germany. So
Mm.
I was like, maybe this one's in German. And
Mhm.
it was not. But yeah, that's actually, again, me coming back. Seven Deadly Sins was like the third one that I picked up, and I saw that it was in German. I was like, hell yes.
Let's do this.
I was
That's
like,
fun.
English, German. What?
Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
Fun.
All right, then I can go to let me dig into like another question.
Dig.
Dig.
I'm digging.
dig,
I'm
dig,
digging.
dig.
Okay. So we've been on the subject of soliloquies. The anime itself is like pretty soliloquy heavy, but now thinking about it, there's actually like a lot of anime that uses soliloquies.
Really?
Like I think so. I think there's a lot of moments where like, at least maybe it's like more. It's certainly more common in the shoujo sphere, where like a character looks longingly at someone and then like speaks like certain thoughts and like monologues like outwardly almost towards the audience. And I'm trying to think like, do you feel like it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to see if there's like more examples that we can think of that like are also like great moments of like good soliloquies. You know, outside from the diegetic, I guess, because Kageki Shoujo obviously has soliloquies, but that's like them required
Yeah.
to perform a soliloquy.
Right.
But like, can you think of like other instances in anime that like have other soliloquies that like resonate with you guys?
I can't say that I think they do. I think it's
Mhm.
the Your Lie does actual full pieces.
Full, like-
it's not just. I think when you're the moments that you're thinking of are
Mhm.
like almost one-liners.
Yeah.
Or like repeating the last thing someone said out loud
Hmm.
and going, "Huh," at the end of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the stars shine bright tonight. The stars shine bright tonight.
Because I feel like
Huh.
Chihaya Furu. I weirdly feel like Chihaya Furu had soliloquies. Like I feel like there are moments where
Oh,
Yeah.
Shokugeki. Shokugeki no Soma talks about the traveling the barren fields of the food. Like
oh
the
yep.
Yeah.
Whenever they cut to him, like fighting the sand and
Mhm.
the wind.
It's so funny thinking about Shokugeki no Soma with soliloquies because I always associate soliloquies with high art, and then there's Shokugeki no Soma where it is like.
I'm saying that is the highest form of art.
It's
No,
literally consumable.
I do love Shokugeki no Soma, but it is not easy to be like to get everyone to watch that. Let's be honest, it is bored. That's the type of anime that's like you tell that to people and they watch the first episode and they're gonna think you're a freak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's great.
I love Shokugeki. I love Shokugeki
Everything you
no
need to know about
Soma.
me is in this one episode.
Actually.
But you're absolutely right. That is a soliloquy moment.
They do. They talk about like his struggle,
Mhm.
like about, and then everyone's struggles.
Mhm.
Yeah.
March Comes in Like a Lion does it as well.
Oh yeah, March Comes in Like a Lion, which I haven't seen yet.
Another one that's very much in that same wheelhouse, right?
Is that foreshadowing? Are you gonna tell us to watch March Comes in Like a Lion?
I want to. I feel like that's too big of a commitment. There's a lot to it.
I was wondering. I just had to pry.
It's a long one.
Mhm.
I don't know if I can recommend it for our homework viewing.
I had to pry.
But I do recommend it though.
Yeah.
It does have one of my favorite arcs of like any anime of all time.
Okay.
But that comes in the second season.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the one that sticks out like immediately.
I feel like Tsurune also has soliloquies. Does Tsurune not have soliloquies? It's been a while.
Maybe not. It's like a little bit. I don't think it doesn't stick out to me.
Not full-blown ones.
Not full blown in the way that what we're thinking of, right?
Yeah. I feel like they're
I
just.
feel like there's some out there though, right?
It's a fun decision whenever they do it, whether it's like movies, whether it's anime. And why do you guys think it lends itself so well to Your Lie?
I think it's maybe like an older form of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Just lends itself well to the theme that they're playing out.
Yeah.
So you think because of classical music?
Communicating
Yeah.
through like an older art form,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah, I feel like that's why it works. It matches the ambiance set by the classical music.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of like rolling and punching. The way I guess modern dialogue is so quick, snap, snap.
Oh yeah,
Classical music is like take your time.
yeah.
Let's
That's
calm
not even
down
just
for a
an,
second.
that's not even just an anime thing. That's also like, I feel like after Aaron Sorkin got done with everything, there are a lot of imitators out there, you know,
I mean,
like
there's
for film.
one of the first screenplay classes I took said you have to write a play and tell a whole story. Each character can only say 2 words at a time.
Interesting.
And that's
Oh,
why I write
interesting.
The whole story. Everyone always wanted to get one more word. Like,
Right.
how are you? No.
I couldn't.
Sup.
I would get mad at the teacher.
And then the next word, oh really? And then the first lecture is like,
That's right.
That's me. That's me. In a nutshell. I mean.
But I know pretty story. It's just like, so you, and it's like,
Yeah,
I mean.
pretty much. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
God, I love that. Let's see. We've talked about sub versus dubbed. We've talked about pieces of music. How do you guys feel about the visuals of the series? I know we talked about kind of like on a tripod still, wides. They do a lot of wides. Very rare instances do they do something crazy, like a fisheye lens, and usually they do it in the right moments, like where he's like, I'm anxious. But there's also like a coloring thing, because before she shows up, it's very droll looking. Yes? You may speak.
I have my hand raised. That is very much surprised.
Yes.
I was kind of criticizing the anime actually this time around because
Okay.
their eyes creep me out.
Do they?
Kaori's eyes, when we were just like zooming on her,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Mhm.
They
Huh.
looked dead and empty.
I mean.
Stop. But they terrified me. I hate you.
I had to like do a modem check.
My job is done.
I was like processing what Rob just said.
See, it's that 1-2 line thing.
I'm so good at this.
I can't with y'all too. I can't go anywhere with y'all. They look. Well, was it only her, or was it anybody else? Who's other characters?
Yeah, it really was hers. Like, it had like an extra ring and like white in them, and they didn't blink. There was no like gloss or shimmer to them. It was like it scared me actually. Like and they did it a lot where they would like pan in on her eyes, and she's like intently staring at him, and his expression is still soft as the camera pans back over him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like when it was over her, I was kind of like, is it just because the screen's bigger, or I'm like uncomfortable? Like, can you blink or look somewhere else real quick? It was uncomfortable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
very
I mean,
interesting.
I felt it was beautiful for a really, really long time, and then this was the first time I felt too much.
Was it just the eye thing, or was there other aspects of the show that was kind of like catching you?
I guess another one was Kosei's mouth. I couldn't tell when it was open and he's like gaping in surprise, or when it was actually closed-lipped and he's just watching.
Yeah. There were some
Like,
moments like that.
Was it actually jaw-dropping, or your lips just painted weird?
Yeah. There's definitely some stuff to like the way lips are in that show that gives that impression of like, are you sure my open or?
Is he actually gasping in surprise, or is his just lips are weird?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is an awkward kid, so.
That's what I'm saying. I was fully ready to leave.
Me.
Yeah.
He's just sitting, he walks out over a mouth breather.
Exactly.
Oh my God! Please. Did you guys feel any particular which way with like, because at the beginning of the series, his POV on things is kind of like droll and like muted. like darker colors. But then when she shows up, things become more
It's
colorful. She sparkles. And then actually, as the series starts taking its later turns, it starts diverting back.
Yeah, dimming again.
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of the film? I highly doubt you've watched it. Sticks my nose up.
This is dinner with Andre or something.
I'm not gonna freak out.
I think I had dinner with Andre 3000 too.
Bro.
Not Andre 3000.
Call up right now.
Have you guys heard of the film Mood Indigo?
No.
It's a
Yes.
French film.
You
Yeah,
don't
really?
Say yes, just to say yes.
Shut up.
Oh, okay. It's a French film that stars. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on the actress name.
Andre
but
Tato.
Audrey. Whoa! Hey, how'd you know? Whoa!
Shit.
Yes, actually.
My job is done now. Woo!
Let's get out of here.
She's actually seen Moon Indigo. It is her. It's actually her.
Okay, I'm a big fan of her.
Yeah, she. So if you are a big fan of her, maybe check out this film. Who does it does a similar thing. The beginning of the film is like this guy who's like, I want to find love, and it's arguably at its like brightest and like most magical. And then he meets Audrey Tato's character, and it's just like this beautiful like menagerie of color. But as the film goes on and as things start to get tragic, it starts to become more like the beginning of Your Lie. And I can't help but think about that film when I was watching Your Lie. And it's something that I didn't notice before because around 2015, I wasn't looking at film this way. You know, I just wasn't and I hadn't seen Mood Indigo yet. So I didn't seen too many films, or I probably have seen a lot of films that like played with color in such a way. I just was too dumb to pay attention. I was just like, yummy eye candy. I wasn't specifically thinking of that context. And it's a cool technique. Very expressive in a show that is dealing with slice of life themes. Which I think is like neat because Mood Indigo, while it's like colors are bombastic and vibrant, it's also kind of ridiculous. Like there are magical moments almost to enhance that effect. But Your Lie in April doesn't do that. It's still like at the end of the day, like very slice of life, very grounded. But then because of the colors, it adds an expression to it.
Yes. Like I really love what they do around, like when they're playing the performances, right? And they talk about like the way that the emotions that you should feel during it, or like Arima calls out like the colors that he can see.
She's yellow and
She's
red.
yellow and red,
Yes.
and you get like that tint of yellow and that red.
It was
in the
funny when
visuals.
he said that because he was like red and yellow.
Right.
So he's like, red is the fire and the passion, anger,
Mm-hmm.
but yellow is that?
He's talking through it, like, trying
But
to figure it out.
then they said yellow, and I was like, actually, what is the yellow? I've seen this. Like, what do I remember? What is the yellow? And it was loneliness. And I was
Yes.
like, yellow is lonely? I mean, I was going to say lonely,
Right.
but it didn't feel right. So I was like,
Yeah.
yellow? Yellow is usually friendship.
Right.
In most cultures, yellow means friendship. Give someone a yellow rose as a sign of friendship or something. So it's like, that doesn't feel like it should have been right, but it was. And it somehow worked.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the loneliness actually kind of fueled the rage and adds to the red.
Yeah.
If you threw in another color like blue is usually lonely, that would completely
Would
clash.
throw it off, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that goes back to like the earlier point of like where I may not, as someone that's not into like classical music, right? This show does a really good job of just like guiding the viewer through all of that, right?
Yes.
Because I cannot explain why yellow is the right choice, but for some reason, like seeing it, like I'm like,
It
this
works.
feels right.
It also did feel lonely.
Yeah,
It's almost
yeah.
like it was so loud to fill the space.
Yes.
By itself.
Mhm.
Loud enough to
Exactly.
fill the space.
So like you get that throughout like the entire show, right? It is just like brilliantly crafted, just through its visuals and their choices for color and when to use it, when to dim it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's fantastic, 10 out of 10. Right?
Fantastic.
Like
10 out of
it's
10.
one of my favorite pieces of media just from a visual standpoint.
Yeah,
Right.
just from a visual standpoint.
Right.
We've already also talked about music being patterns, and then we talked about the cadence of speaking as a pattern.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that some of the comforts in some of these patterns is that it'll keep going. You can loop it and just play it again,
Mhm.
do it again over and over. That is time. Same thing with seasons, and the same thing with colors. So there will be highs and there will be lows, and so at the end, you see it start to come back up again. Right? We will find highs again.
Yeah, you will.
They won't be the same exact highs you had before, but that wouldn't make the other one special.
Right.
Because we're not trying to recreate what we felt previously.
Correct.
We're finding the new next one.
You're going on.
Yes.
Right. It's like classical music isn't where music stopped.
Right.
It changed. It kept going.
Which is funny that I say going on, because Japanese for go on, which I heard in the last episode I watched of Your Lie Today. I had to write this down in my notes. She said, he's playing the piano and he's stuck, right? Or he pauses. That's when he stops, right? It's that episode that I'm watching.
Yep.
And I hear her say, Suzume, go on. And I think about the movie Suzume. And I think about going on. And so I'm just like, these two movies, or this movie and this show actually have that in common.
Yeah.
It's
I
about-
heard say that too, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know that's what it meant.
Yeah.
Also, who would name their child that? Go on.
It's funny to take the scope back,
Go, leave.
but actually great.
Just waiting to get them out the door.
It is an uncommon name.
It is an
Very
uncommon name. Man, this is an awesome episode. I loved what we talked about in this episode.
Yeah.
Very cool exploration in like our artistic background, or like the passions that drive us, and like how those passions have shifted, which is just what these characters have gone through. Just how has life affected them and how these passions shifted. Very fascinating. So with that, let's play a little word association game.
Oh, good.
My favorites. I don't have a crazy game this time. Like we're not going to recite soliloquies or anything like that. But just gonna do a little bit of word association. So I'm going to start naming off instruments, and we're going to alternate between the two of you. Okay. And I want you to associate with each instrument an anime character. Give me the character and the anime, but it can't be a person who plays that instrument.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not gonna have you tell me a sound euphonium.
I was about to say, I'm not about to go through the whole cast of sound.
The whole cast of Sound Euphonium, or K-On, or Liz in the Blue, or Bochi, or anything like that. You cannot do that.
I see.
So we're gonna start with Jenny. I'm going to say drums. What anime character do you think of with the drums?
Bon from Seven Deadly Sins.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Seven Deadly
I like
Sins.
He's so good. So good.
All right, Rob, the flute. Don't think too hard about it. You can't help it. Tanjiro.
Demon Slayer.
Why? If you don't mind me asking.
Because you said don't think too hard.
Oh, hell yeah. Look at me go.
On the roulette table, he just popped up when you said that.
Yeah.
I'm just cycling through, and then you said stop, and I'm like, Tanjiro.
It was like a Scott Pilgrim moment.
Rolodex up there. Like,
That's it.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's how this whole segment is going to go for me.
Jenny, saxophone.
ooh, the female officer in Full Metal, the one who
Riza Hawkeye?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hawkeye, FMA. All right, Rob, the trumpet.
Trumpet.
That one would have been easy for Sound Euphonium.
Exactly, right?
One of the best trumpet performances I've ever seen.
Trumpet. Edward Elric. Oh no.
Edward Elric.
Yeah.
FMA.
Yeah. That just makes sense, right?
That's pretty good.
Violin.
I'm gonna say the god in the other war god in Noragami, the Bishman.
Bishma?
Oh, Bishamon. Oh. Why, if you don't mind me asking?
I heard there's a lot to do about family and the one that she had to create on her own.
Yes.
And the violins, while they do well as a solo,
They do.
definitely stand out when there's strings in the background.
Oh, you're right.
Interesting.
Huh. I like that.
I like that a lot.
Triangle.
Triangle?
Yeah, the triangle. Listen, don't hate on the triangle.
Osaka from Azumanga Daioh.
No further notes. Perfect. I don't need to ask any questions about that. Jenny, trombone.
Soma from
Shokugeki. Why?
It's considered a classical instrument.
It is,
right?
yeah. But it's also kind of funny.
It reminds you of flatulence.
Yeah. He does have the energy because he is a very good cook, but there's also something very like.
It makes you go womp womp.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. I love that. Clarinet.
Clarinet. Damn. I can only think of Squidward.
My favorite anime.
My favorite anime is SpongeBob. You know? Clarinet. Faye Valentine.
Faye Valentine.
I have no reason.
All right, no reason. No rhyme, no reason. Cowboy. Jenny. The melodica.
The what? Who's?
Melodica.
I don't know what that is.
So it's what she
First
played.
instrument that she plays when she's standing on top of that little playground structure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Botan from
You?
Show.
Why?
She has that energy.
She is very playful.
It is, but also an instrument that's not taken seriously,
Yeah. Mhm.
but has strong foundations in teaching.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's true. She was like the first major character to teach Yuzuke about the spirit world and all that stuff. So
Yep.
perfect. I love that. And then the last one, Rob, guitar.
Guitar.
Poetry.
I know, right?
You can't pick
I just
Bochi.
wanna say
You can't pick
man.
Bochi.
Why can't I pick Bochi? Why can't I pick Bochi? Asher, why do you hate Bochi?
I definitely don't hate Bochi. I represent
Why do you
Bochi
hate
week
Bochi?
to week in the anime trivia
I can't
game.
believe Asher hates Bochi.
Everybody, because it's on the internet and he said it live, you
That's
heard it
it.
here first.
Ah.
Bochi.
100%.
Mhm.
Guitar.
Guitar.
It's on the tip of my tongue. From Demon Slayer, Boarhead.
Inosuke?
Inosuke.
Okay.
I bet he would just go ham on the guitar. It won't sound great.
It won't sound great,
But
but he'll
that's what
shred.
he will gravitate towards, and he will just start shredding, and you're just like, bro, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. But in his mind, he is a fucking rock star.
I love this. This is going to make a great Instagram post later.
I hate it.
Anyway, so with that fun little activity out the way, it's Rob's week to pick the next
My
anime we're
turn.
gonna watch. And I are you excited for what you're about to tell us?
I'm pretty excited.
Hell
So Asher, you've been making me think about Satoshi Kon a lot. Just through like Black Swan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was looking at like my DVD of Perfect Blue the other day, and I was like, I should rewatch this. And then I was like, no, I know what I want to watch. I want to watch Paranoia Agent.
Oh, you son of a
I was
bitch!
like, I think we should watch Paranoia Agent. I confirmed it is on Crunchyroll.
It is, yeah.
And I was
Holy
like,
shit.
I want something a little fucked up. So Paranoia Agent was a show that like it used to come on like Toonami and Adult Swim and
Yes.
whatnot. And it used to freak me the fuck out when
Of
you would
course.
see Little Slugger.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I would get nightmares of this
Yeah.
show. And I never watched it as like an adult. I've only watched it like when it aired on TV. So I was like, I am in a Satoshi Kon mood. It is my turn to pick this week. It is easily accessible. Let's watch some Paranoid Agent.
Have you watched Paranoid Agent, Jenny?
Nope.
All right. I'm excited.
So
Very
we're
excited.
going to go on a trip. We're going to go on a bit of a horror.
Yay!
Yeah,
And
it'll be good.
I know. That's
What a-
also why
what
I
a-
picked it.
It's such a strange shift because like the first three were like shonen, and
Yeah.
I felt like we were gonna go 3 for 3 in shoujo, and here you come.
Nah.
Like
come in.
like Lil
Rambo,
Slugger.
Like Lil Slugger.
I'm your
that.
I'm your next
I got
victim.
rollerblades at home.
God, that's gonna be a fun one.
I think it's going to be fun.
All right.
I like the name.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in for a ride.
Yeah,
It's a very good one.
it's
That's gonna be a fun one to
Yes.
talk about. All right. So let's do our goodbyes. Jenny, where can people find you?
Usual cooking stream. We've moved it to every other Sunday that we're not doing the JSB anime. We've moved back to Steve Might Cook. And we also are taking a little bit of a shift with our formula for the show itself. So Steve is going on a journey for his own improving his health and his diet. So we're actually
Oh, hell
going
yeah.
to do meal
Love that.
prep using the cookbooks. So we're going to portion out the meals, talk about the nutrition, and what you can supplement as a side. Just a quick, frozen vegetable, microwave maybe,
Mhm.
what would go well with it, and give you all the nutrients you need within one meal,
Mhm.
and teach a little bit more about meal prepping using these video game cookbooks and stuff.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
We're getting older, so I need to eat healthier.
I refuse.
All right. What-
Still tastes good, Mom. Jeez. And like his house is gonna be a piece of shit.
where can people find you, Rob? And do you have anything else
You
to
can find
promote?
me at like the worst fast food joints. eating. You can find me on Twitter at Zenosuke. You can also follow us at Jack Savage Base, where we do like the JSB AnimeCast that goes up every Wednesday. We did just record the Trails in the Sky spoiler cast. We're going to go through the entire Trails of series. So that's going to be like a new monthly like deep dive series.
Whoa,
Hosted by Drew.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so he's
Cool
currently-
new side project.
It's really fun, and we're
Yeah.
gonna push that further as well. So it's not just going to be Trails. That's just what we started first.
Let's go.
And we're gonna go through a bunch of other games. So if anybody has any ideas or series that they want us to check out, please let us know.
I can't wait till you split off to Danganronpa.
Oh God! No, I'm waiting to split into Castlevania so I can talk about how the first 3 Castlevania games might not actually be good games.
Whoa.
What? I didn't say that. Oh no!
you can't see it, but our producer's like, don't do it. Don't say
Is
it.
that my opinion? I don't know. You have to stay tuned.
Yeah, you have to stay tuned.
You know. But yeah, that's really where you can find me.
Hell yeah. And then you can find me streaming on this channel. I stream other games. We're gonna be playing 999 soon with my homies at Pixel Hearts. We're gonna be playing the Non-Ray Games trilogy actually.
Oh.
So if you want to see the Asher Cry cam, tune in for at least Virtue's Last Reward.
Can't wait till you get to the 3rd game.
Probably gonna continue Paranorma Site heading into this week. If you are in Jax, we're doing another collab with Nakama this Tuesday. We're going to be showing the first Godzilla film. So if you're in town, please make your way to Nakama at 7, and you can catch like just raw classic cinema. Ooh, beautiful, perfect in every way. It'll be a fun watch. You can enjoy some sake there. There's going to be food provided by Chef Evan, who was featured in our sake tasting video.
That tomato poke.
Yeah, delicious stuff.
Oh boy.
And then you can find me on Twitter, Pinoy_Grigio, and same thing with Instagram. And then, yeah, you can follow any of the JSB anime socials that are on the ending screen that's about to hit. So join us 2 weeks from now, where we're going to talk about Paranoid Agent. And also don't be surprised if we have some media regarding Radwimps coming down the line.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everyone say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.